Welcome to Sunday Morning Quarterback with Jay Stockwell and Bob Frady.
Bob Fraley, how are you, man? It's been a while, brother.
As I live and breathe, Jay Stockwell. Super fan.
We are living and we're breathing and we're still here. And I have to tell you, since I thought we were going to be talking earlier at 4 o'clock, it was right after the Timberwolves beat Dallas.
Yeah.
And my new favorite Christmas playing basketball guy, Santa Claus, made the made the final buck of the game and defeated the 19-10 Dallas Mavericks. So that was really an exciting
Yeah,
game.
but they had no Luka, so
no Luka.
Still, a win's a win. They don't give quality scores for wins.
On the road in a tough place on Christmas Day, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Speaking of wins, it's time to talk about Nebraska.
Yeah,
and winning in a bowl game.
Yeah,
or playing in a bowl game, which is a win all by itself.
So we're going to be in California on the 28th. Where are you going to be?
I'm going to be in Minnesota on the 28th. Because I got it.
How do we plan that?
I'll be in Wisconsin on the 28th. So,
are you? Do you have the ability to watch the game, or? Well,
I don't know. I'm going to a memorial service for the co-founder of my old business. So,
shoot,
yeah. But I'm sure I can
talk about him for a minute. I don't even really know much about the guy. What was his name?
So, Dr. Brady Foust was a professor of geography at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire for 25 years. And he was good friends with my co-founder. And he provided all the science for Hazard Hub. Can you hear dogs barking in the background?
You can.
Yeah. Hey, get outside. Those are guest dogs.
Oh.
And so he was 72 when he joined us. So he was the elder statesman of the elder statesmen, and an incredible, as he used to say, there's no off switch on the Brady machine. His name, first name was Brady, and just an incredible, incredible guy, a bon vivant, raconteur, and troublemaker. And so we had a wonderful run. And the reason why we sold the business was because he wanted to retire. I'm like, okay, well, I'll retire. And then I started another one. But got sick and that was that. 80 years old. So
that's a good number, though, dude.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good run. After that, things start falling off. It gets a little weird, but
Yeah. Well, he had a great life, and he was able to leave some stuff to his university, right?
Yeah. When we sold the company, he gave $1 million to the university for a funded scholarship and a little memorial wing. And he gave another $1 million to the Arts Center in Eau Claire, which he was a big proponent of building. So that was super generous. Just a lovely, I wish that everybody had someone in their life who was as kind and thoughtful as Brady was for me. And so it's sad. It's super sad. I've been sort of processing that during the Nebraska off season here.
Yeah.
But it's also really good to know that you had someone in your life who was that good of an influence. So, and sometimes you want to be that good of an influence for somebody else.
And did he help you with kicking off the new business, Property Lens?
He kicked in a few bucks for sure. But from a business standpoint, no. He just, we run all our ideas past him, but it was more along the lines of, hey, this is a great idea. So, it was, I wish we had more time together for sure. But,
is the flywheel starting to flow a little bit for Property Lens?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good.
It's been interesting. We, for those of you who don't know, I have started a business called Property Lens, which is like a home history report, like a Carfax for houses, plus a whole lot more. And we've been advertising to consumers exclusively, but in the process of advertising to consumers, a lot of the B2B stuff is picked up. So put a couple of contracts out already.
Channel relationships.
Yeah. Yep. So, it's a little slow at Christmas time, of course. People aren't buying houses on Christmas, but yeah, it's going pretty good. I can't complain. Way better than it was, even a couple of months ago. So if you ever have a chance, check it out, propertyleds.com. If you're even thinking about buying a house or making an offer on a house, you should run a report for the location just to see what might be hiding that they don't tell you about. Well, there you go. There's a little commercial for Property Lids on our football podcast. But thank you.
Cheers to Brady Foust.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
guy.
very much so.
I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but seems like a good guy.
Yeah, it's great. He's wonderful, wonderful person.
All right, let's talk about the Pinstripe Bowl. The boys were in New York City in Central Park today. They were just throwing the snowballs at each other and at the coach. And the Matt Rule looked a little winded when the reporter got to him after
Hey, listen.
snowballs.
While I'm thankful for Nebraska being in the bowl, it is the worst possible bowl to be in because it's at the home of the dreaded New York Yankees.
Oh no!
It's like, no, we hate the Yankees. Well, we don't hate them personally. We hate the idea of them more than anything else. And so I'm thrilled that they're in a bowl, but it's in a baseball stadium. So, you always make compromises with that. And so, except for that, I can't complain.
Well,
But
they're in a bowl. They've got some extra practices, but boy, oh boy, it has been an interesting time with the transfer portal. I believe by the count, I'm looking at the Husker Max tracker here, and it looks like we've had 22 guys hit the portal, including some pretty good guys like Nate Borkacher, Jamari Butler, Malachi Coleman, who's guess what, coming to Minnesota. We're playing Minnesota in Minnesota next year in October. Dante Dowdell, Daniel Kalen, just to say name a few.
Here's the thing though. You never know what's going on behind closed doors.
Right.
Maybe they were flunking out of school. Maybe they were not down with the program. Maybe they got a bag from another university. And maybe they couldn't compete with some of the new people that were being brought in. So take your money and go. I understand that. So good luck to all the kids. The thing that bugs me is when these guys, they're like, nothing but love for Nebraska, but I'm leaving. It's like, that's like the worst possible line. It's like, just imagine your girlfriend saying, listen, I'm going to love you forever, but I'm going to go date your friend. It's like, what an asshole move that is. It's like, say thanks for all the memories. Had a great time. Got to go.
But
Don't
it's kind of
this love Nebraska forever.
Kind of a business decision. Like
it is, but still, don't be dropping love bombs on people who you're leaving.
Yeah, but you had 5 jobs before you got your entrepreneurial piece. You moved around.
Oh,
so
I got fired from a lot of jobs too. So
I wasn't
my transfer portal wasn't an option. It's like you're in the transfer portal. What? I was having a good time. What the hell happened?
Exactly.
So yeah,
I've been in the same. I haven't transferred for 21 years, so I've been in the same group for 21 years. So
yeah,
it's interesting. I don't know if I can fault the guys though, especially guys that are getting good offers, right?
Yeah.
What I'm intrigued by is what we're getting back, and we have to get down to 105 players anyway, right?
There's a lot more guys who are going to end up in the portal.
Yeah.
After the bowl game, you'll probably see a bunch.
Yeah. But we're getting some interesting pieces coming in here. I think we just got a top 10 portal guy, Dane Key from Kentucky, and that's related to Dana Holgorsen.
He's got 1 year. Well, the receivers coach from Kentucky came over to Nebraska. So I love the additions that they've made in the portal. The defensive line was certainly a place that we needed reinforcements since both the Polar Bear and Robinson are graduating, and a couple of people left. But so I like where everything's going, and let's just see how they manage this next game. I don't really care whether they win or lose. The whole point of making this game wasn't necessarily a payout from the bowl game as much as it was to get those practices in, know what you have, and then be able to build on next year. Although it would be nice to get a win for sure. The interesting thing about the portal this time is 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, we got 3 receivers all from the Omaha area and, putting a fence around Nebraska, and all 3, I think, are in the portal. 2 are, I think the third one went in the portal. And it makes you wonder, you want to build this fence, but is that enough? And, the Big Ten, ain't no joke, they're big. They slap you around. I mean, there were two good conferences this year. Really, maybe only one good conference top to bottom, and that was the Big Ten, and maybe the SEC. The ACC is soft, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Couple other topics, and we'll come back to the game. What do you think of the playoffs so far?
I think it's you're always going to have someone who's unhappy.
Yeah.
And it's great so far. Yeah, the games are non-competitive, but a lot of bowl games are non-competitive. You're taking 3 weeks off, and sometimes you just come out with a flat tire. It happens. And I do wish that they would put the portal after the bowl games rather than before. Because it's, you got to focus on coaching the game, and now you got to worry about all this other nonsense going on at the same time. But they'll figure it out. And so far, I think it's great.
I'm with you, dude. So we cited earlier in the year how Power 5 season ticket sales were way up.
Yep.
Well, the ratings on ESPN's Game Day are 50% higher this year. And so there's some data that suggests that all this craziness is actually good for the game. And it's certainly good for the student athletes because they're, the top players are getting deals and,
Yeah.
making money on it. And it's an enormous business. And for years past, it's the only business in the world, billion-dollar business in the world where the workforce didn't really get paid, and now they are.
Yeah, it's like if you look at 1AA or not the FCS, I think it's called. They still call it 1AA. It's like they've been doing playoffs forever. And now the Ivies are actually going to go into the playoffs for the first time ever, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And so this is nothing new, but they're still feeling out, and I think a lot of times it comes down to teams don't want to schedule tough teams in their non-conference schedules. They want Cupcake Central. And so you never really know how good a team is or isn't. In much respect to, LSU, they're like, hey, USC, come on in. And they played USC. And a good playoff susses all that stuff out. I mean, Notre Dame looked incredible. They just dismantled Indiana. It wasn't even, it's like kids playing adults. And yeah, the fourth quarter got a little bit more competitive, but the foot was off the gas by that time. And so we'll see what happens. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it. What do you think?
All right. So you're my resident Boston friend. What about Boston College, Bob Froley? What's going on up there?
Boston College is coached by O'Brien. They did have a little drama in that their starting quarterback got benched and he immediately left the program, which I thought was interesting.
Which program? Which one are you referring to?
BC. Their starting quarterback, I think it was Castellanos. I can't remember their name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you're gonna go on the bench, and he flees the program. And that's one of the things about the portal that I don't love is how do you build toughness when you're just constantly running from one place to another?
Oh, I know.
And how do you build a legacy? And Tim Miles talked about this. It's like, if you're going around to 4 different schools, you're not setting any records anywhere. So when you're 50, where do you go back to?
Yeah.
You go back to all 4, and it was like, oh, all right.
Exactly.
This guy, we had him for a year.
That is a really good point. Where do you go back to? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you look at like our friends Adam Carricker and Des Moines Adams. It's like they built lives around the brand because they lived the brand. But if you're constantly moving around, maybe it'll work out for you, and maybe that's not a concern of yours. But as an old guy looking back, it sure would be nice to have a central place where you can go back to and say, I was a part of this thing. And so many kids don't have that now. I was a part of this thing temporarily.
It's good to see Adam doing so well. I kind of rely on him, frankly, for the Husker news on TikTok and stuff. Like anything that comes out, he'll just do these 30-second bits on TikTok, and so you're like aware of what's happening.
Yeah,
and in doing so, he's generating this really strong sort of fan base that follows him, and I think he's sort of the dean of the podcasters.
Well, it's funny.
And I would say include all of the media guys too.
Some of the social media commentary we've gotten buried deep in the folds is, does everybody in Nebraska have a podcast about Nebraska football?
Where did you see that?
It was in one of our comments somewhere. It's like another podcast about Nebraska football. Like, here's the thing, people, we're not in Nebraska. So we get the non-Nebraska podcast.
I love it. No, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, it's
And the answer is yes, everyone does have a Nebraska podcast. Some people put it on the webs and some people don't.
we operate at, listen, just to be clear to the fans, we operate at a loss in this gig. So we do
we're not in
it for the fun.
please.
And
Yeah.
we're-
And really, it's not that much fun either, because every week we think they're going to win, and then they kick us in the nuts, and it's like,
half the time you're a little disappointed. And
Yeah.
we've been in this 2 years, and more than half.
yeah,
the
but
time.
you beat
It's
University of Texas extra pace or wherever the hell,
Picante. Yeah.
extra picante.
Yeah.
That's not really all that big of a deal. But
We're
you know,
keeping the faith, Bob Freda. We're keeping the faith, brother.
keeping the faith. That's one of the most amazing things, and why I would recommend anyone to go to Nebraska for football is the support that you get from the fans. I mean, you go to Cal, you go to Stanford, and the place is half full. People don't care.
There's a great new YouTube tour of the new Oscar Legacy Complex facility on YouTube, and I encourage everyone to go look at it. It's really amazing. We have literally the best facilities in all of college football right now.
Well, they're the newest for sure. There's always that until the next one comes along.
That certainly helps.
So what do you got for the game?
We'll just mention one other thing. Bob and I are doing a little trip here, on a day trip to Las Vegas.
Oh yeah,
to see our old friend Tim Miles.
Yeah. So if you are really bored, watch the UNLV versus San Jose State men's basketball game, and we'll be flexing sitting behind the bench. So
January 4th.
January 4th,
which is
coming
odd. So we're gonna
soon.
fly out there for a day and then come back and then fly back out for CES on the 7th. So
Yeah, it's on. I think it's on the Ocho, that game. So you'll find it somewhere. Good reason to subscribe to ESPN to watch these two knuckleheads sit behind a bench. If that's how sad your life has become, then please write to us and we'll send you like uplifting messages every once in a while. Because
Miles is an absolute treat, and you would if you happen to be in Vegas and you wanted to go at 3:00 in the afternoon to UNLV game, it'd be worth it. If you're a Nebraska guy, I guarantee there's gonna be somebody from Nebraska out there that's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, the game itself. Saturday at 11 Central, 9 Pacific.
9 Pacific, yeah.
So you're gonna be in Central Time.
Yep. And you'll be in Pacific.
And we're favored by 4.5.
I think it's down to 3.5 now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's down to 3.5.
What's the over under now?
45.5.
Yeah. So I we'll see. I mean, Emmett Johnson's back. Raiola's there. Let me just clarify this. When you enter the portal, you're out of the program, right? You're not playing the bowl game, right? So there's going to be a lot of holes there. It's going to be interesting to see who steps up and sort of fills them. But I think we ought to be conservative on the scoring, Bob. So I'm going to go. I'll say 21-17, and I'll take the under.
I would say 34-30 Nebraska, and here's why. Because both teams
64 points.
Yeah, both teams have had losses. I mean, BC's defense has never been very good anyway.
Yeah.
And Nebraska has a lot of losses. I would say the majority of their meaningful departures in the portal were on defense. So you've got some holes in on the defensive side that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So yeah, I think it's going to be a high scoring affair. Although you never know, if it gets really cold, it's hard to throw the ball. What's the weather report supposed to be like for that game?
Yeah.
And for those of you who are ticked off that they're playing in the Bronx rather than someplace warm, I'm with you. So, because if it was a warm weather spot, I would be there. You put it in the Bronx. I ain't going to friggin' New York. And I've gone to football games in New York City when it's 35 degrees and raining outside, and it is the most miserable experience of my life. 2, 4, and 10 teams at the Meadowlands Stadium, really one of the most miserable sporting experiences I've ever seen, and don't ever wanna repeat something like that. So the idea of standing outside in the cold in New York, then you gotta get on the train to get back in Manhattan, which is kinda cool, it's right there, but it's, and New York is really fun this time of year. It's the best time of year to be there around the holidays. All that said, I wish it was Tampa. It's like Tampa. I mean, let's go.
I think
So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a high scoring affair. But listen, I'm like the opposite king. I pick high scoring games and they're low scoring, and I pick low scoring games and they're high scoring. So I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just going on a guess. But I think it'll be pretty high scoring with lots of stumble bum defensive plays on both teams because it's just people aren't used to playing.
well, it's our first bowl game in 8 years, so,
Yeah, I was beginning to take it personally after a while because
we
like
like going to
why?
bowl games, right,
I
Bob?
know we've been to the Holiday Bowl like what 18 times. Every time Nebraska's there, we end up going,
Yeah,
and including the time you almost got thrown out because you were ranting about Bubba Starling coming to Nebraska.
yeah.
And security came over. He's like, "Sir, you need to calm down." And I was like, "Oh boy." I think that was against Arizona, and we won that game, and we were just screaming, "Bear down" at the top of our lungs on the subway back into the city because there may have been some alcohol involved. But we're older and wiser now and better married. So, we don't have that. We don't have that experience to look forward to, I suppose. But yeah, I like bowl games. I like their bowl games. Weather. So, something to shoot for next year, a bowl game with warm weather.
I had to think back for a second there, like, but, the Mr. Starling, and where did that I don't even know the reference anymore. What Bubba
Bubba Starling, he was a big time recruit coming to Nebraska to play quarterback, and he chose to play baseball for the Kansas City Royals instead. But
Did
before
he
he
end
made that decision,
up
there was a
doing
short
well?
there was a short window where he was gonna be the sort of incoming new kid promise, and you were just over the moon excited. It's like
Was he a
you were
quarterback?
full on Jay Stockwell. See, this is what's hilarious is you don't even remember this. It's like
I do not
this is
I
burned to my memory.
like, the name is kind of familiar, but it's like I've sort of crossed it off like Scott
And you're
Frost.
running up and down the aisles, pointing your fingers like, "Bubba Sterling! Bubba Sterling's coming to Nebraska!" He's with
The
me.
hype up promoter. He ended up doing well.
Well, he got drafted by the Royals, I think, in the first round,
I know. Hold on.
and but I don't think he made the pros though.
Starling. I'm just
It's
American
Bubba Sterling.
baseball outfielder. Here he is, Wikipedia. Oh, he's got a Royals. Let's see here. Um, let's see. Yeah, really short career.
Yeah, this is the joy of Stockwell's.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't remember that.
This is so. This is so 2010 and 11. The last time we were in a bowl game, really. Like, when we still lived in San Clemente, and Starling signed a $7.5 million 3-year contract with Kansas City Royals, opting to play professional baseball over a collegiate athletic career at the University of Nebraska. The $7.5 million signing bonus, the second largest in draft history, was also largest for a high school player, represented the most guaranteed money ever given to a high school player. Blah, blah, blah. And he started with the Burlington Royals, batting 275 with 33 RBIs, 53 games. Played Lexington Legends, 241 batting average, blah, blah, blah. He began 2016.
Jay will now read us the entire Wikipedia
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Bubba Starling's
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he got injured or something like that, and that was
kind of
that.
fizzled out in 2019 in AAA, and that was it. Never really made it, but he made $7.5 million, so he made the right call.
Hopefully, he saved his money. Oh, remember, kids, save your money.
Thank you for that trip down memory lane, Bob Brady.
Oh, that was incredible. It's incredible. All right, I'm getting the high sign here. I think I have to go eat or something like that. So,
All right, you lead us out. You're the
all right, you ready?
Yeah.